But no, Beth, your goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to... And she's unleashed everything in this attack. See just how much that win means to him. All the marvels. Kayla versus Allison, and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory. Hello everyone and welcome to week 2 of the CVRcade World Cup Season 2. This is the team event, and last week we got off to a hot start. It was Team Cycling Hub at the top, heavily contested with Cognition, with Hive, with Velocity, with Havoc, and Cade Exhibition further down. But in the end, it was Team Cycling Hub that walked away with $250. Now we go again here on this great Saturday evening, or wherever you are in the world. I hope you're having a great Saturday so far, because it's just about to get better. We've got 4 events on display here today. We've got Aquavelo first up, then we've got New York City Scape, we have Country Rally, and we finish on one of the most dreaded maps available, but it's Homer Thompson's favorite, Summit Islands 3 laps. Who's got it, who's not got it? In 2 minutes we'll see just what's about to happen. We've got races from all across the world streaming in. 6 teams are taken to the start line. We've got their captains in, and we've got some few more. From Cognition, we've got Luis Sobraniz, who is their captain for the day, as he substitutes in for Sebastian Kuhn of last week. Cycling Hub have got Quinton Molines returning as their captain. They were satisfied with his display last week. Havoc has also changed their captain from Rick Woods to Mr. Tam Burns. He'll be in the broadcast today as well. Then we have Team Hive that have also swapped their captain. They had a less than ideal performance last week, so they've said out with Ben Shuilong and in with Timothy Tamont as their captain. It's worth mentioning that captains get 1.5 scoring multipliers extra on their results, and therefore they are very crucial, important to scoring the points. Velocity Vixen have also substituted out Nigel Doyle, and in his place we've got the Beast, we've got Vibeke Bertram, who's also streaming in today from Denmark. And then last but not least, the captain who is not on stream currently, but Cade Exhibition, which is a team made up of CVRcade, or Team CVRcade. They will not be taking points. They will not be taking any of the prize money away, but that's being led by Frank Garcia out on track. We've got 1 minute to go. Let's get a quick word from Luis. Cognition out here. Possibly one of the favorites because, you know, they just seem to do well on Summit Islands. Luis, what's the mood like in the Cognition camp?
It's good. I think we have a strategy. We were just talking about that just now. So I think it's just a matter of executing.
I like the sound of that. I like that you think you have a strategy. Well, now is the time to figure out whether or not you have one. Good luck, Luis. The first race up today is Aquavelo. It is 12 laps. It is the low skill event, meaning you've got Uncrashable, Corner Caper, Quantum Shift, Oz abilities, and you get given 1 comeback hit. Now, last week, we almost hit Terminal Velocity, and I don't mean the Derny Cup team. No, we almost hit 100 kilometers an hour on this event. How will it pan out this week? Casey Shum is also in the broadcast, and we've also got Homer Thompson of Team Cognition to round out the broadcasting crew here today. We're going to see how this one starts. It is worth mentioning that when I look at the start line here for Team Cycling Hub, they are without the Season 1 CVRcade Bracketed Session Tournament champion who went away with just around $5,000. Tim Fulford has been substituted for Chris Pritchard. Now that is something we're going to keep an eye on as the racing progresses, because that's a quite a large move, as we already see Vibeke Bertram down in 17th place, having to use her comeback kit, and she is the captain of Team Velocity here. She's also with Timothy Termont, the team captain of Team Hive, who has also been spat out of the group already. 12 laps. But when it's Aqua Velo low skilled, it is not very forgiving. Once you lose the draft, it's see you later. Now, it is the top 3 highest scores from the team in an event that do score. So as long as Hive has got a few riders up there, as long as Velocity Vixen keep their composure on the front, they have got a chance here. The riders are simply moving so quickly that our observer is having a tough time finding the correct rider on screen at the right time, because currently they're riding at 78 kilometers an hour. Homer Thompson has just hit 80 k's an hour here, so you've got to fight to be in this group, because if you get spat out the back like Aaron Starlin just has, like Tam Burns, another team captain out the back, that is Havoc, that is Hive, that is Velocity, all dropped here. As we see Homer Thompson of Cognition also losing the draft, and as we're over halfway through in the racing, that is a Cognition member who will not get back in the action. 12 riders remain. This is essentially an elimination race. Ever so often, a rider gets propelled out the back and they don't get back on, even despite having the comeback kit. 1.2 kilometers left. 4 laps. We're on board with Casey Shum. We look at the scoreboard. Looks like Velocity have got 1 rider here. They've got 2 riders in the front. Team Cycling Hub have got 3 riders in the front. I think it's moving so quickly, guys, as we're at 76 kilometers an hour. Looking at the scoreboard, Cognition, Velocity, everyone is doing well here. It's still close, as you can see on the left with the scoreboard, as the sprint is beckoning. 500 meters to go here. It is Luis who starts the sprint. He comes on through, but tiny bit premature. We've got the 2 captains on display here. This is the final lap, 300 meters. It is time for the fireworks. There they go. Quinton stands up. Luis headbutts the camera. 100 meters to go. Nigel, Casey, Quinton, Chris Pritchard wins it for Team Cycling Up on the first event. So Chris just walks in here and says, Tim who? Tim Fulford who? No, Chris Pritchard. Now, that does affect the scoreboard, but not really in the favor of Cycling Hub. They may have won the individual here, but Velocity Vixen with a 10-point lead over Cognition, 14 over Team Cycling Hub. Let's see that instant replay once more. Now that was unbelievably quick, as you can just see on the right side, 79 kilometers an hour. You'd think they were on Xbox controllers. Like, you'd think that's DK Mansuni, that's Lance Roll Storm, it's Wim Moisen, you know, Casey Shum on controllers, but no. The low skill event here off to a blazing start in our first of 4 events here. And as we see the sprint again, it's all about timing. It's all about getting through the group and getting first over the line, just on the line. Because if you hit it like Quinton does here, the draft disappears. And just like that, they come over the line once more. We've got Team Cycling Hub's team captain in here, Quinton Molyneux. Quinton, despite being first over the line, you're sitting in 3rd here. How's the legs today, Quinton? Because I know last week you were talking about some pressure, some nerves.
Yeah, the legs feel fine when it comes to nerves, but the legs are still a little bit mushy from Thursday. I did a pretty big ride outside, and apparently I didn't really recover all that well. But we didn't win the first race. Chris came 6th, I think, and I came 7th. So a little bit of a visual inconsistency.
I don't think it was a visual inconsistency. I think I looked at the scoreboard and I tried to time it, but literally the millimeters is what makes the difference. So I think my eyesight. But Quinton, it's the medium skill, but it's technically the high skill event here when it comes to team dynamics, because no power-ups, no wind. You've only got one ability at all times in Uncrashable. What can we expect here from you guys?
I don't know what to expect. I think that everybody's going to try and put their own train on the rails, and perhaps try to make it a team time trial. I don't know. It's going to be the first one for me as well to see what happens in this one.
I'm excited to see it. Team Cycling Hub, Quentin Molyneux, their captain. Let's go and talk to Velocity Vixen here as we have Vibeke Bertram in the broadcast. Vibeke, that first event, I mean, what was that like to race?
No fun. It was so hard, and I don't know what happened. I was in the middle of a blob, and all of a sudden I was way back. Tried using my comeback kit, but everybody's going so fast that it's not possible to catch up. So
now we've seen Velocity Vixen on this track before in a head-to-head team environment. Have you guys had a chance to sit down and rethink the strategy on how to race Cityscape New York as a team?
yes.
Just yes. I know I should be asking better questions, but on that note, Vibeke Bertram brutally shuts me down. We'll move on to somebody else. Good luck, Vibeke, in the next race. Let's get a word here from Timothy Tamont, because the team captain for Team Hive, they substituted out Ben. Timothy, what happened to you? You got spat out relatively early.
Yeah, I got spat out kind of early. I got back, and then... Sorry, just turned on my fan. And then I got spat straight away, so... Yeah, not the ideal start, but the points are still relatively close. So it was only a low-skill event, so... Yeah, we still got this.
Now, looking across the other teams, Timothy, who do you think is the threat today? Cycling Up, Cognition, Velocity, Havoc, Cade X. Who do you look at and think they are a threat?
I think, honestly, Cycling Hub is still kind of a big threat with Quentin in there and Nils and Casey. And today it is Chris that's substituting for Tim. So they're going to be less dominant without Tim, but as you see, Chris just won that, so he's no easy rider. So yeah, they're still going to be a big threat, and then the others as well. So I don't think we're going to end up looking at one team in particular. I think we're just going to go pretty hard.
Now, again, I'm not sure Chris actually won that. The team can confirm it looking at the scoreboard. The individual stage doesn't quite matter anyways. We'll look at the overall scoreboard as I try with my laser sight to spot who crossed the line first. Timothy, good luck. Let's get the final word before the racing gets underway in 1 minute and 15 seconds from Mr. Tam Burns, the substituted in team leader of Team Havoc. Tam, this is a race that's up your alley, simple, it's ready, it's powerful. How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel okay, mate. But I'm astonished with the first race because no skills required. And I went all out at the beginning and was dropped instantly. So I don't know what's going on.
You gotta make sure to get in the draft, but those races are tricky. You've got John in here, you got Aaron, you got a few of your riders. I'm excited to see what you guys bring here, Tam. Good luck on Cityscape New York that gets underway in 35 seconds time. I do see out of the corner of my eye, we do have Cade Exhibitions team leader Frank Garcia joining in to the broadcast here. We'll chat to him after the racing as it gets underway in 20 seconds time. You can see on the scoreboard, Velocity, Cognition, Team Cycling Up, Team Hive, Havoc, then Cade Exhibition. But now we're heading into the second race of the day here. 2-time scoring multiplier. This one is going to shake things up as team strategy will be on display. It comes down to who execute as a unit. But look, as the racers get unleashed, it's like the hounds at the races, and off they go. Daniel LeBlanc of Cognition currently first. Quentin Molyneux of Team Cycling Hub has got Chris Pritchard here down in third and fourth following him. So it does feel like Chris has come out here with something to prove, as he has been riding strong already as Jonathan Heron, the pocket rocket, the blocket rocket, moves up here. And there's no wind, there's no supers, there's only an ability called uncrashable, so you cannot fall down. And this means we're going to see teams try to execute their strategies, because it's 10.7 kilometers long. It's long enough for team strategy to matter But if you execute, you can get away, you can take turns, and you can use the realistic drafting and physics of the game to share the workload on the front. Early on here, it's Cognition, it's Cycling Hub dominating the top 6 here. As you can see, 3 and 3 as Jeff Rooney moves up to the outside. But this is where you've got to trust the draft. You've got to trust the rider in front of you to do the right thing. Hive moves on up. This is incredible to see a massive pack like this moving along. As Velocity Vixen, they get organized to the right here. As you see, Vibeke Bertram, Jeff Rooney starting to bring up the pace. You've got Jeff at 410 equalized watts, 176 equalized heart rate, while Vibeke is a tiny bit higher as we look at the pack being strung out. It's Kayla and Timothy of Team Hive moving on up. But it is Jonathan Heron here who has just attacked off the front from the get-go. He came around, but is this a wise move? He has been riding on his own. He's got a 1 second gap, but he's just dangling out there. He is food for slaughter as Velocity Vixen, Hive, Cycling Hub. They're just looking up the road saying, we can still see him. We can chase him down. As you can see Casey here sitting on the wheel of Jeff. He's getting roughly 35-40% draft here as he is trying to make sure that he saves some energy. And then he moves over. Jonathan with the block on Casey, and you can see Casey's reaction, but he gets Cognition. If you have the replay, if we've got that one up, you will see top left-hand corner. Jonathan may have blocked Casey, but he catches his own 2 teammates in this chain reaction here. Not sure if that was... Oh, we get Casey Shum with the not-so-family-friendly reaction, but it did look like Jonathan Heron was out for one thing and one thing only there, catching out Team Cycling Hub, but Homer Thompson got caught in that. Jonathan, his teammate Luis was also caught in that one too. So interesting to see Jonathan's strategies, but he is known for making those sorts of moves out on track. Quentin is down in 10th here. The Cycling Hub team leader is behind Aaron Starlin, Jeff, Timothy, Frank, Chris, and Jeff Rooney. As you can see, everybody moving up here. This is like a proper cycling race here where everybody is fighting. There's another block! I think Chris may have just executed a block on Frank Garcia there. I think Chris Pritchard slammed on the brakes to move down Frank. It wasn't that effective because Frank gets back on his horse and rides on through and leaves him behind. But what is so interesting is if you look at the scoreboard, Velocity, who has not engaged in any of these decisions just yet, are riding away. They've got Carl Axel Sander, they've got Jeff Rooney, they've got Vibeke Bertram, and they're sitting 20 points ahead on the leaderboard currently. And they're just focusing on their own. There will be some very choice words after this. And once more, Jonathan hits the front. Watch for Jonathan blocking Rocket. He gets 2. He gets 3 riders. As Jonathan, the sole Cognition rider. He goes to the right again. Casey goes to the left. He gets everybody again. What is Jonathan thinking here? It lets Homer come back. It lets Quentin come back. If we go up to Quentin Molinez, up in 7th place here, 6th place, he moves on up. Quentin, what do you think about Jonathan's decision out on track?
Me?
yes, quick, short.
Sorry, I didn't hear my name. Yeah, it's interesting. It's not surprising, but it's interesting.
Thanks, Quentin. I did not anticipate you getting into first position, so sorry, but keep on going here. It's moving from 6th to 1st. Ben Shuey Long out on track as well. He was not someone we saw in the first race, but there's just frankly so many riders out on track. There's like 32 riders currently out on track, so there's so many stories unfolding. As Jonathan again at 195, if we go to Vibeke here, she's got to be careful because the one rider ahead of her is Jonathan Heron, the man who's earned the nickname the Blockhead Rocket. And what he's trying to do here is simply slow down the pack, because Luis, his team captain, is off the back. Homer, his teammate, is off the back here. But the thing is, the chat, if you see the chat in here, there is some mixed emotions, and I'm sure the riders feel the same here. But the way you counterplay it is you stay away, you try and anticipate when he's going to do it, because he does it again here. He is creating an echelon as he is playing Frogger to everybody else here, jumping across the lanes, and he stays up there. But the amount of energy he is exerting to do this is moving on up. And if we bring up the scoreboard, you'll see Cognition in third. They're not gaining that many points from this. And it's going to come back in spades. What they're doing here, remember, it is week 2. Riders don't forget. Now in week 3, now next week in the Solo Cup, in the Derny Cup, in the World Cup on Saturday again, it will come back in spades the other way. So is it worth it? That is the question you've got to ask yourself, because he's initiating it again. Quinton is moving left and right. He's being targeted here by Jonathan Herone. But in the midst of that, Carl Axel Sander goes on to the attack. 4 kilometers have passed. 6 kilometers left here as Timothy and Ben are moving on up here to the left. Timothy at 183. He tries to sit, and he's got to be careful here because a break is forming. Velocity have got 3 riders up here. Team Hive have got 2. We've got Timothy in here. Timothy, you've only got 2 riders up here. Jennifer is back. Are you content with the situation?
Content might not be the right word, but yeah, it's still going good. Jonathan, yeah, he's not making friends, but it's fair game. So yeah, I don't mind it too much. It's all game.
Okay, thanks, Timothy. You gotta be careful here. Timothy's saying he doesn't mind it as it's all game, as Jonathan once more moving up. But Velocity right now having the 1 rider advantage here. The only team with 3 riders in the front, as Jonathan does it again. He attempts the Jenga puzzle. And he only really gets Frank Garcia on the back end there. So you can see top left of Timothy Tamont's gameplay screen. And will anyone utilize this? I wonder if we're going to start to see some alliances form between the other teams to take out the Blocket Rocket. As you can see, Vibeke Bertram here on the back. Carl Axel Sander, she tries to dish out a bit of the medicine that the Blocket Rocket has been dishing out as Jonathan comes to the front again. Vibeke moves to the left. He moves to the left again here. Moves to the right as this is a game of chicken. Who can get past the other rider? Jonathan trying to take out the captain of Team Velocity Vixen, and Carl Axel Sander rides up on the side here and just wants to take him away. Vibeke and Casey and Frank are making up 7th, 8th, and 9th. Chris is down here. John Pyle, the great result, 195 from Kayla. Jennifer, 193. Homer and Louise. This is why we're seeing the move here from Jonathan Herone. Homer and Louise, his 2 teammates, are way off the pace here, way off the back. And so Jonathan is making the decision that instead of staying up there, he has to take it upon himself and slow down the group. Now, let us know, of course, in the Mixer chat, what you think of this. Are you Team Jonathan? Are you against what he's trying to do here? As we can see, Frank passes Jonathan. I think we're going to see a massive effort here from Frank to try and get away from him and move on up as Chris and Jonathan are having fun blocking each other. Top left here on the corner. Chris getting in Jonathan's way, dishing it out. He leaves Jonathan in the wake, and I don't think Jonathan has much more to give here. He's at 197, but we'll move to the front now because this is 8 seconds in the back. This is yesterday's news, as we can now see Ben, Timothy, Quinton, and Jeff. Velocity looked very, very good in the first 2 laps, but as we're now approaching the last lap, Team Hive have propelled into the lead here. So Timothy and Ben, first and second, 30 points ahead of Velocity Vixen. We've got 2 more races after this, by the way, guys, so it is far from over as we've got to head to Country Rally. We've got to get to Summit Islands, which is 3 laps, which has the highest scoring multiplier of the day. So I am sure that the storylines will definitely develop more as we look forward. But Hive having the 2 riders in the front. That's why Ben and Timothy are keeping the pace high, because they don't want to see Casey and Chris of Team Cycling Hub come back here. Carl wants to come back. So I think we're seeing some teamwork here in this group because they all have a similar objective to get on back. And you can see the scoreboard, velocity, cycling up, high. It is all changing all the time here. There are no supers available. You've got to ride it on through with your legs, your mind, and your willpower to push on through. As we can see, Louise thought or hoped that Cognition had a strategy for today. We'll see if it's a backload strategy that's going to come and display here on the later stages of Country Rally here and Summit Islands. I see you, Plainbird, in the chat. Thank you for tuning in, DK Mansuni. Do you remember we've got a cross-play Omnium coming up after this? Zone L that invites both Xbox players, keyboard players, everybody who wants to have fun, who've been watching in the chat. You can do this exact same Omnium on an Xbox controller or a keyboard with us. But it is very interesting to see that Jeff is also taking turns on the front here. And this is where the CVRcade World Cup, because it's team oriented, gets so interesting. Because you've got to make sure that you're doing the right thing. As now Chris Pritchard is coming back here. Casey's coming back. The gap is 4 seconds here. This race is far from over. Somebody like Casey has been building up the rage from the treatment he's received from Jonathan Heron. And I think, just like a spring coil, he is loading up, loading up, loading up. And when he releases, when he goes, I think it will be explosion. It'll be fireworks everywhere. As we can see Chris now accelerating. Casey gets up again here. They can see the front four. And with 2 kilometers to go, this is going to come all back together. Cade Exhibition only has one rider here in the front. That is Frank Garcia. But he has won on this track before. Mixer, it's time to make your decision. Make your prediction. Who wins the individual ride on this track? We all want to see the teams. So complicated it's going to be to see how this one plans out. The master strategies, those that can be tacticians, will play it out. But I think in the chat right now, who do you think will win the individual stage victory and which team will take the maximum points? Because right now, it is Team Cycling Hub with Casey and Chris coming on back here, propelling up to the top of the scoreboard. Matcha says Casey. Wim says this is going to be close. And watch, we've seen Casey attack here before. We've seen Tim Fulford attack here before. This is the Cycling Hub special as 4 and 5 of Team Cycling Hub come on through. Carl Axel Sanders going. He gets blocked by Timothy Termont. He gets met with concrete in his face as Timothy Termont puts on the block here. And Casey goes to the back. Carl tries again. Will anyone go? Carl Axel Sander has launched. 1 kilometer to go here. It is the Swedish chef of velocity going on to the attack as Jeff plays the role in second wheel here. Quinton goes with him. The team captain scoring 1.5 points. The multiplier on top of this. Here he goes. You can see on his face, he's giving this everything as the chasing group is starting to accelerate. Chris, Timothy, Jeff, Ben. As Frank just has been let go of the back here as Timothy dodges Carl 600 meters all across the road here. This has been such a fun race. How will it end? We'll find out in 500 meters as Chris on the back here is moving in. He's moving out. Who's it going to be? Timothy puts a block on again as he does not let Chris come around. Carl's taking the front. He's trying to get Casey off his wheel. Sorry, Quinton, can you feel the sprint coming up? Casey has been dropped from the group. He's gone. It is Quinton. It is Chris. It is Ben. It is Timothy. It is Jeff. It is Carl. The sprint is coming up. 200 meters to go here as the lead out is coming through. Chris Pritchard once again is accelerating. We can see him on the front here. 100 meters to go. It is a left-hand turn. And ladies and gentlemen, Chris Pritchard taking the win this time for sure. But Velocity Vixen are leading the overall, and they took the most amount of points on Cityscape New York here with 146.2. Massive kudos, massive credit, and I think this just displayed, I mean, the physics, the cycling engine that is behind CVRcade. When is the last time you've seen such a realistic cycling race online with decisions, with blocks, with attacks, with moves? I can't wait to hear Casey's reaction here in a second as we load up the instant replays. As we get Tam Burns coming across the line. You got the chat saying, nice job, Chris. Mr. GQ, yay, Chris. What a race in there. Hope Chris was streaming that to his own YouTube channel as well so we can get his personal reaction as he crossed the line. But velocity at the end. I mean, the storyline here, it was velocity in the beginning, then Hive, then Cycling Hub, then back to velocity, then back to Hive, then back to velocity. And that's only halfway of the racing. I mean, if you're doing this on a physical replay right now, and you've got, you know, your heart pumping, you've got the rhythm going, I hope you're as excited, you're as in tuned as everybody else out here. Tim says, is that really Chris? Well, I mean, Chris Pritchard sprinting here, Carl on the side, but you'll just see the equalized wattage from Chris being thrown down here, 1200 watts. Velocity scored the maximum amount of points, 8 points more than team cycling, but we do have Casey in here. Casey, we saw you a bit animated.
I'm on stream.
Oh, hey Casey, we saw you a bit animated. Explain the complex emotions that went through in that race.
It really just came down to, up to this point, we had done some of that swinging lane to lane all the way across the road super early on in Uncrashable and beta days. And I thought we had kind of a gentleman's agreement or a racer's agreement that was just too powerful of a tactic. Like, switching a lane or two, holding up a line is fine, but like 6, 7, 8, 9 times in a row, swinging left to right, honestly, I think the game needs to do something about that kind of tactic. It just, if you're good at it, you can just swing back and forth and never let anybody pass you. It's just, it's not good gameplay. I was a little frustrated and even disappointed in myself because I returned the favor on Luis. I never hit the brakes on Luis, but I did not let him around me just soft pedaling for a long time because he's the team leader. Jonathan was up front beating on everybody while all his teammates were out the back. He was not helping his team because all he did is put a target on his team. So be it. We'll move on. But I'd like to see the game deal with that. It's too powerful of a tactic. And I'm glad to see no one else has employed it up to this point in the real money races.
Now, Casey, you've been here for a long time. You know the team looks at these sort of things and they make decisions. So if the team does deem it's too powerful, they will make adjust things accordingly. But Casey, thank you for being on stream, and that was a good race. Before we go talk to Velocity, I want to hear from Luis, team member of Team Cognition, team captain. Now, Luis, you said you had a strategy in play. Was this what you guys were strategizing before the race?
Yeah, you come up with a strategy and then you kind of have to adjust depending on gameplay. We knew that this Cityscape New York was going to be tough, and that most likely Cycling Hub was going to be pushing at the front. But then it kind of blew apart, and I got caught in the back. And with this many racers, it's just hard to move up the field, which we knew too. But what Casey was saying, yeah, I mean it was hard to try to pass him, and gameplay so good. But then Chris also came over, and with 2 blocking the road, I just couldn't keep up. But you just had to adjust with the field you get.
I'm excited to see how you guys bounce back on this one because Country Rally is up next. We're seeing the highlights of Velocity here. We do have Vibeke in the chat, in the stream. Vibeke, 146.8, the highest scoring out there. You guys looked like you were a really well-gelled team. Talk me through what the team bus was like. How was the communication? How come you guys scored the most in the last race?
I think once we figured out what Jonathan was up to, we tried to pull him away from some of the other guys so we could move ahead. And everybody was just helpful, really giving good ideas. Yeah, everything just worked as we planned.
It's always great when everything comes together in a race like that, when you're racing for money. Vibeke, last question here, 1 minute to go. Do you feel comfortable, confident in your ability to sustain this lead all the way to the end?
I think we'll be able to push through. I'm not sure. The other teams are great racers too. We hope. If the legs hold up, we'll see.
That's all you can do. Good luck here, Vibeke, and the rest of Velocity Vixen. You heard from the 3 teams currently on track. There are 3 other teams in here as well. There's, of course, a Team Hive with Timothy Tamont in the broadcast. There's Team Havoc, where Tam Burns is the team captain here. They haven't had the best of days so far, but it could turn around here at the end. And we've also got Frank Garcia, who's in the broadcast. You can see Tam just shaking his head here, thinking, what have I gotten myself into here? But here we go. Matchy says, how much upload does camera feed need? Not much, Matcha. You need around 1 or 2 megabytes upload, and you can be right into the broadcast if you do choose. So here we go. Country Rally, 2-time scoring multiplier, 1 uncrashable, 1 underdog, and we're seeing Timothy, we're seeing Jennifer, Ed, Ben, Carl, all use it from the gun here. This is going to be a very chaotic first left-hand turn here. This is like Monaco. This is like any Formula 1 races. Frank Garcia here with his power up, with his super here, uncrashable through the corner. Ed goes down. Bonnie the Barn Door, Frank Garcia on 3 laps of Country Rally with a 7-kilometer-an-hour wind here, playing into his advantage, but using his supers as Ben Shuilong comes around. Frank, ooh, he dodges the hay bales there and impromptu puts a block and a stop, as well as he overlaps the wheels and crashes down as he turns to the left. Just that one little turn, and with so much traffic out on track, it can be difficult to navigate, as we're seeing the top scoreboard here is only 7 points apart as the 2 team captains. So Luis has got Quinton up against the rails, but just 1 lane between them here as Quinton is on the inside. You can see the scoreboard. 3 points is the difference now between the top 2, and Team Hive in 3rd, Cognition in 4th. Oh my goodness, guys. We've got 2 races left. The last one being Summit Islands. I hope you've got your popcorn. I hope you've refilled your drink, because this is going to be edge of your seat all the way to the end as Timothy slides on through. Timothy and Ben in here. This could very well come down to bonus points. As by the way, guys, I am pleased to announce Jonathan Hebron has crashed near the back. So it was DK Mansuni who wanted to be let known. Well, Jonathan has fallen down, hit a hay bale out on track. Side by side, Timothy, Quinton, Luis. The 3 team captains are all in the lead as Nigel Doyle is going to come through here and start crashing the party. And this has changed the scoreboard. Now with Carl, with Nigel, and with Jeff all in the top 7, Velocity have extended their lead by 36 points here as we come on through here to the hay bales. 2 kilometers left, 2 laps here as on the left, Quinton, Timothy, side by side. The grudge match continues here as we're going to see Nigel moving on up. So Luis of Cognition is leading it, but his teammates, where is Jonathan? Where's Homer? You got Jonathan in 14th. You've got Homer in 17th. So Cognition, last week it was Sebastian Kuhn, the one-man army. Today, Luis up here trying to fly the flag in the new Cognition jersey, but he's missing that bit of support. And in 2 weeks so far, that's been the storyline. That has been the storyline for Team Cognition, as Nigel Doyle here of Velocity Vixen has come on through and he has taken the lead over 2 laps, worked his way into this, and now he's in the lead by a 2-second margin over the rest. Carl Axel Sander with an uncrashable as well is moving on up here. But he gets blocked by Quinton. He slides into Quinton. He gets slowed down. And Jeff has gone down. That is massive for Velocity. And he uses Underdog as well while he's down. And so now Velocity do lose a few points. But as Jeff goes down, Vibeke slides in to 7th place. Here we go, last lap here on Country Rally, the 2-time scoring multiplier before we head to Summit Islands, the 2.5-time scoring multiplier. Quinton comes on through. He narrows the lead here as Carl Axel Sander comes through. Luis uses Uncrashable. So does Quinton. They've been saving their supers as they pass on through. Quinton at 192. Nigel at 192. Quinton has got him in his sights. He has done well on this track before. What can Nigel do? He dodges the bots out on track. As now Quinton is on the inside line. He has got the target in his sights here, and he's trying to move on up. But Velocity with a 40-point differential currently in the lead at 371 points to Team Cycling's 334. And Nigel is not giving up. Nigel is giving this everything, and he's moving on through. Nigel in 1st, Carl in 4th, and you got Vibeke in 8th, as Quinton has got Underdog. 50 more watts for every rider ahead of him. So it's 50 watts he's getting here for 10 seconds, 300 meters to go. He is not gaining. Has Timothy kept his power up? Has he kept his super here? Has he kept his Uncrashable for the last corner? We'll have to wait and see. It's 2 captains on the front, but 100 meters to go here. Nigel Doyle versus Quinton Molyneux. Nigel will cross the line in 1st and extend the lead, but it's not by much. Quinton and Timothy and Carl here to the line as we see over the view camera here. Timothy just beats Carl. Louise beats Ben. Chris beats Vibeke as Et is just a bit further down. Jeff with a crash. Jonathan, Jennifer, Badger, John, Homer, Daniel. Oh my goodness, there's so many people out there as Badger uses his super at the end. Look at the scoreboard. Velocity, Cycling Hub, Hive, Cognition, Havoc, Cade X. But we're going to Summit Islands, everybody. 3 laps of the toughest map in CVRcade. 3 laps, 2.5-time scoring multiplier. This is for $250 here. $250 here, we'll see. DK says, I think that the scoreboard should stay on the screen at all times. I think so too. When we're on the rider list, I think in this last Summit Islands race, I think the scoreboard should stay on the screen at all times. I do agree with you as we see Tam come across the line. We saw Casey, we see Aaron, we've got Frank as well. As we load up the instant replays. If anybody had Nigel Doyle as their lottery ticket for Country Rally, I'm impressed. I did not see Nigel coming on this one. It was heavily contested, and now we finish in great fashion on the one, the only, the Gladiator course. The map that is Summit Islands. It's got a new look here as well, as we can see. Wim says, is there an overview of the teams and riders just as we had on the Derny Cup? Not yet, Wim, but that is an excellent suggestion to add to the broadcast. So next week, Wim, we will have one just for you as you watch the sprint here to the line. Quentin, we're watching the highlight here, and it looks like you are really suffering. What was it like to chase Nigel for that last lap?
It was tough. Very tough. I set a new 5-minute PB, I think, and that's enough. I'm done already.
Well, you do know we've got Summit Islands coming up next year, and you guys are 30 points down on Velocity. This is a map you guys have done well on before, but how do you feel about going up against Velocity here in the end?
I don't feel well at all. It's going to be very tough to catch him.
Well, we'll see. Quentin and Casey are both on stream here. I'll let Quentin rest up. We got Vibeke Bertram, who is ready to be on stream here. Velocity leading. So far, so good, Vibeke. One obstacle in the end here. How do you feel?
Well, I feel great. This is my favorite track, so who knows?
You and Homer love this track. What is it about Summit Islands?
I just love the climbs. You can really push yourself really, really hard, and as a mountain biker, it's something you're used to. So it's just, yeah, it's a place to shine.
Well, you do shine the brightest, especially with that light in the background on the camera.
Yes.
Good luck in this one, Vibeke, Nigel, the rest of Velocity Vixen out there. We've got Team Hive as well, 3rd place down. Timothy, You're 66 points down on velocity. You've got a chance to come back here, but Summit Islands, my friend, are you ready?
Oh yeah. I'm tired, but I'm ready. This is it. Emptying the tank here. I'm sorry for the other teams, but we have the unfair advantage of having the map creator on our team, so there's that. No, we have a small deficit, and plus the minus 10 points of the not wearing in-game kit. So there's a bit more behind, but it's still doable. This is the big one, the 2.5 multiplier. So yeah, we're all gonna go good here, and it's gonna be great.
Now, when is the last time Ben has won on this map? Because that has been a very long time ago as far as I remember. But Timothy, now is the best time, if ever, to pull one out of the bag sitting down in third. Cognition we've got as well in the broadcast. Louise, you did so well on Country Rally. You were up there. But where's the support? Where's Homer? Where's Jonathan?
Yeah, unfortunately, Jonathan crashed, and Daniel got pretty bit up by Cityscape New York. So, it's just how things go. But we have Summit Islands. We know Homer is awesome at this one. So I think we can recover some points here.
I like the sound of that. We do want to go and get a word from Team Havoc before the end of this, because I believe this may be Tam Burns' first attempt at Summit Islands. Tam, have you attempted the beast that is Summit Islands in the past?
No, this is my first attempt.
Are you ready?
I'm ready to move.
Well, just know when the gradients get to 11% at the finish line, just keep, powering on through, because you've got to do it 2 more times. So I believe in you, Tam. I believe in the captain. Anything you want to say here on the finishing rope?
Yeah, something wrong with my system.
Well, Tam, we all know that, but we'll now see as 50 seconds remain here before the racing gets underway. Good luck to the Havoc team captains Tam Burn. Got the scoreboard again here. Velocity in the lead, 368 points. But it can all change, because this is a scoring multiplier of 2.5. Very, very large as we see the racing get underway here. Timothy quickly wants a word. Timothy, what's up?
Yeah, we just saw that our points are wrong. It still has Ben as the captain in game. So, yeah, I'm not sure what the team will do about that.
But that may be a user error if you guys didn't adjust it in game. If not, I'll let the team investigate. But I think you are required to. I think you are required to change your captain in the game. So if you haven't done that, I think Ben might still be it. But the team is listening, so if the team can investigate. But regardless, you've got to race on through here, and that just puts additional pressure on Ben in this one as Quentin, Timothy move on up. Daniel LeBlanc in here. Don't sleep on Cognition either, because Allison Kubota, Homer Thompson, on this map, they just have a way. Same way where Vibeke is just fascinated about it. I think this could be a very good finish to the day here in Zone K. Don't forget, we've got Zone L up next as Kayla crashes. We've got another zone after this. If you want to play on the Xbox, you can do so. You can give another go at this as Timothy takes the front. Quentin is there. Chris Pritchard, who has been a shining light today in his debut in the CVRcade World Cup. He's done very well for himself to hold up his own, winning individual glory on Cityscape New York. Here's Ed Laverick, the the British national hill climb champion outside. I would reckon that translates here to the inside as well on CVRcade. But does he know the corner speeds? Does he know how to brake? Timothy goes to the left here. Timothy's trying to force a mistake on Ed. He knows that Ed may not be as experienced as him. And we saw Timothy pull this exact move as Chris goes down. And there comes the corner speeds into play. You can see the scoreboard on at all times up in the top right. Velocity cycling up Hive as Velocity with Vibeke in 6th here. Now this is a long race. It may just be 7 kilometers in total length, but when you get to the finishing part of the map, when you get to the tough gradients at the end, as Vibeke goes down, the captain, you can see her reaction. She exceeds the corner speed. She comes through and she just doesn't break. Now, her positioning into the corner was vital there, as she was already on the left and she didn't move all the way to the right. So you may know the corner speed, but your positioning here is vital, as it changes depending on your entry. As Jonathan held on, Daniel LeBlanc here moving on up, as you see Jonathan with a weight lifted trying to attack here, as not sure why his cadence, he may be grinding so bad out on track, as Ed is in the lead. Havoc are attempting a last second return here. Can they move up? Can they move up into third to fourth here if they can score more points? They're 344.7. They're relying on Tam Burns to come back here. But despite Vibeke's crash, they've not lost too many points, with Nigel in 5th, with Jeff in 8th. And then there's the next rider down, which is Vibeke down in 14th. So they've got a big gap down to the next closest velocity rider out on track, as Chris has come to a standstill here. Chris may have thrown in the towel as he is falling down the rankings, down into 15th, 16th, as we're seeing it on through. Lancer is asking, what program are they using to talk, Jesper? The broadcast, we're using something called vMix Call, but the riders in the game are using the audio widget. As you see Timothy Tamont here attempting to break away, but it's still Velocity Vixen in the lead, as Nigel in 5th here, as Vibeke down in 13th. I do wonder if Velocity have made a similar move as Team Hive. So they've done the math. They still believe that Ben might be their captain. Now, last week, Nigel was the team captain of Velocity. I'm not sure if they've changed it, because looking at the results here, he is in 4th. But we'll see. The results are the results, and they're staring on the screen as Ed uses greater responsibility. You've got a super. You've got greater responsibility. That is the one that gives you so much power for a limited duration of time, as he slides to the left and he moves on through. Matza says, is a smart trainer required? No, it is not, Matza. You can ride with whatever you want. Physical equalization is activated in the CVRcade World Cup, which means it doesn't matter what device you're on. It doesn't matter if it reads to the 0.001% or to the 99%. Realistically, you want it to read the same every time, because you get equalized, and because you get equalized, everybody has got a shot at winning here. But right now, it is Velocity on the front, 511 points here. And as we look down, Hive have got Timothy in 2nd place. There's a close fight here for 2nd out on course as well. Jennifer is a bit further down. We look at where the rest is. Ben is further down as well, making up 14th and 17th out on the map here. So we're halfway through the racing. We've got another hill coming up here. Cycling Hub Cognition as well, as Nigel goes down. This may be the opening here as Jeff comes on through. We see the scoreboard. There is now 12 points between them, and Cycling Hub are going to be salivating. They're going to be seeing this, and it's going to be running down as there are hungry dogs waiting to attack the top here and move on up. But as Nigel comes back right now, Ed Laverick is taking away a significant amount of points by winning this race in the front. But can he keep it up all the way to the end? That is the question here. As you can see, Timothy grinding, standing up. These gradients of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, as high as 11%, as Quentin uses his one racer edge. Now they have one racer's edge, one wind at their back, one weight lifted, and one greater responsibility available here. As we see, Jonathan Heron has just used his, but he was forced to break, as here comes the man, the myth, the cycling legend, Homer Thompson. Right now, Cognition have 3 riders in the top 6. They're scoring 151 points here. Quite a significant amount. And they're making inwards on the top 3. with 1 lap to go, if they catch Quinten, if they catch Timothy, we could see Cognition move up into the podium and possibly take a second spot here. Their only downfall is that it's not their captain. Their captain depleted his energy earlier and is now down in 12th place. But look at Quinten. Quinten has got his head down. He is fighting on through. He does not have much left here as the jelly legs are just starting to give out on him. But the determination, the suffering, he wants to get back onto Timothy. He's got his carrot. It happens to be his arch nemesis, Timothy Tamont, who is 1 second up the road here, and he gives it everything. He knows 1 lap to go. This is it. This is all or nothing if you want to sustain the gap. 8 points is the difference now. Cycling Hub are coming back. 6 points is the difference. It's down to Casey. It's down to Nils. With the lack of Tim Fulford in here, Team Cycling Hub relying on his lieutenants, relying on the second command here to come on through, to come strong, as Timothy and Quinten, second and third here. But again, velocity. Jeff, Vibeke, Nigel. Nigel right now is the MVP for Velocity Vixen. He's come on through here, and he wins Country Rally. Now on Summit Island, he's in 4th, and he is scoring a significant amount of points here. But he's got Homer Thompson, and Homer is just off the back here as we're going to see him chase on up. Matcha says, it's time for me to try this. Get on, Matcha, it's amazing. We're racing for $250 for the winner. Second team takes $125, third takes $100, $75, $60, $30, $25, $20. Your money for riding your bike. As here comes Homer. It's the last kilometer. Final lap. Final race in week 2 of the CVRcade World Cup Season 2. Cognition wants it all. But is it too little too late here? We'll wait and see. Casey Shum is also somebody who could potentially take points back here. And he knows it. It is a 20-point differential. And as he passes Daniel, you'll see they gain 3 points back. Quinten needs to catch Ed. But Ed is absolutely flying. Ed Laverick racing today here. And the Welsh Dragon flies again. He roars above the sky. He breathes fire upon the rest as Daniel LeBlanc has crashed. And that marks the end of the siege of Cognition, I reckon, as Quinten is trying. He wants to catch Timothy. He's pushing this to the edge here, showing perfect cornering ability as he pushes on through here, as we're going to see. Where are Jenna, Ben, and Kayla? Jennifer is in 17th. Ben is in 14th. Kayla is nowhere to be seen currently in the top 17 here, as we now see Quinten trying to push through for the last time. He's got Nigel barraging him down. Casey attempts with a racer's edge. Jonathan with a racer's edge as well. But Velocity Vixen, so far so good for them. They just have to keep the status quo until the end. And they will be the preliminary winners here. They get bonus points for streaming in. They get bonus points for matching points. But here comes Homer. He passes Nigel. How does that change? It takes 5 points away from Velocity. It's not enough, as Timothy is trying with a last ditch effort. It's not meant to be. Ed Laverick, everybody. Let's get some gifs in the chat. Let's get some hype in the chat. Ed Laverick, what a performance. 201 equalized heart rate. He crosses the finish line in first place, taking points for Team Havoc. Then Timothy Tamont gave it his all, and if he had been the team captain, the question is, what would have been? Team Cycling Up tries to come back as Casey crashes. Casey with the greater responsibility. Homer with the greater responsibility comes back into 3rd place. It doesn't change the overall though. And Quinten goes, oh, I can do that too. I can also do that trick. So greater responsibility. Just a bit of Mario Kart at the end. But ladies and gentlemen, it looks like Jeff just flying by as well with greater responsibility. What a race. What a week 2. What a set of races as we see Casey and Chris come across the line together. Vibeke Bertram passes both of them. Goes, hey, I want more points. Every point matters. Vibeke can't believe that they've done it. preliminary Velocity Vixen, winner of Week 2 of the CVRcade World Cup Season 2, as Louise, as Ben, as Jonathan, as Daniel, as John, Jennifer, Tam. We had so many warriors out there. We had so many riders coming in. I tip my hat. Badger, Frank, Kayla, Aaron, Kinjol, everybody who raced today. That was intense. That was terrific. Let's load up the instant replays. Man. Whew. Can you believe it? As we see the chat reacting to it in here. Good racing all around. GG to Ed in there as we see the final bits here of Timont and Quentin Molyneux. We do have Zone L coming up next, which is controller, keyboard, Xbox. Just an exhibition showcase if you guys want to try it as well. So we're going to see who's the best on Xbox here later. So make sure to stick around. Starts in 4 minutes time. As we see Homer, Casey, Vibeke all again to the end here. But as we watch the instant replays here, watch as Ed comes across the line at 202 equalized heart rate. We've got a World Cup on our hands. This is week 2 of 8 weeks of total racing. It's gonna heat up. It's going to get intense here as we see the highlights once more. We do have Vibeke Bertram ready, standing by on the interview. Vibeke, preliminary velocity wins. How does that feel to be at the top of the podium?
Oh, that's so awesome. Team, wow. Even though we were so highlights in this race, we all shined. And even 2 of us had a push, and so we were able to win. That's amazing.
I could definitely catch amazing there at the end, but it does sound like we need to get your old webcam back to get the correct audio going forward. But Vibeke, congratulations, preliminary 518 points. We get ready. We've only got 2.5 minutes until the next zone begins. I'll let you rest here and cool down. We've got Quentin as well in the broadcast. They do take second place, it looks like. Step down from last week. Quentin, how much of that was missing Tim Fulford? Was there a point where you guys were wishing Tim was back in there, or were you happy with the group you showed up with today?
No, I'm happy with the group that showed up today. It was a little bit rocky at the start with Jonathan having a jolly old good time on New York City. Niels kind of freaked out a little bit over and over again because it was pretty annoying. And I really hope, just like Casey says, I hope the team looks into that and gets it out of the game, because that's really killing the racing actually. But overall, I'm happy with today. Too bad we couldn't get the first spot, but Velocity raced it and won it properly, so props to them. Looking forward to next week.
I'm looking forward to next week as well. We do have Frank in here who would like a word. Frank Garcia, the floor is yours.
Yeah, from a game designer point of view, thought I'd pipe in. I think only Cycling Hub got thrown off their game. As far as it being OP, we used to think it would be OP as well, but we actually have a game mechanic coming for it, but Cognition finished near the bottom, so really it hurt them, and it hurt Cycling Hub. Interesting dynamics. It definitely has an odd feel. I was blocked many, many times, but it's an interesting dynamic. I don't think in this instance it was OP at all. In fact, I think it hurt Cognition. And I think if Cycling Hub had stayed on their game, I think they would have done better. So it's an interesting dynamic. We'll see how it plays, but I'm sure there'll be lots of chat about it.
I was about to say the same thing. I'm sure CVRcade writers after the fact will have more in this discussion. Thank you for chiming in, Frank. Always good to have the team in here. We got 1 minute to go before Zone L begins, which is our unofficial Xbox Championships of CVRcade continued. I see we got Sebastian Kuhn also in here on a keyboard, or in an Xbox. If Timothy Tamon, I think he might still be, I think he may have just, no, he's still in here. Timothy in the end there. I mean, you're fighting on through. You couldn't catch up to Ed. From a Team Hive perspective, how do you guys walk away from week 2 of the CVRcade World Cup?
As a team, we're really happy. And yeah, Ed was on another level there. no catching up. But I mean, I got best of the rest at something. Yeah, we did really well. Looking like we got third. What could have happened if we choose the captain in game? I don't know, because we told Vanessa like a day beforehand. So yeah.
But that's
Not sure
on
if that
you
was,
guys. That
yeah,
game...
but nobody told me you had to change it in game as well. Vanessa asked me who will be the captain. I said I'll be the captain, and I didn't know we had to change it in game. So
I will
yeah.
defend Vanessa on that one because I'm pretty sure
Oh
it
no,
says you gotta
I'm not
choose.
going after Vanessa there. No, definitely not. No, don't get me wrong, please. But
No,
yeah.
I know. But this is learnings, and now next week we take more from it and we move on. Timothy Tamont of Team Hive. We are in Zone L, which is the next zone after this. I do believe we also almost have Hive in the broadcast at... so we got, Wim in the broadcast at some point here. I think we may have our first... He's not quite in yet, but we could have our first Xbox player in the broadcast today here. But I see he's not fully gotten in. I love that we've got Sebastian Kuhn getting in amongst the action on an Xbox controller as well here, so having fun. Johnny said, Johnny says, block it, rocket here. Sorry about NYC, but was mostly trying to slow pack down so my team could catch on here. So we see, now we see in the chat everybody coming in. Chris Pritchard is in here as well. So I'm really sad you didn't stream, Chris, because I would have loved to watch back Cityscape New York after that, because perfect racing. Nigel's off as well, but here we go. We've got more racing coming up here. A few are staying around. I see Frank still in here. Quentin, Homer. I think we've got Louise staying around. I think we might have Jennifer joining the broadcast later. So more racing here. So we've got 4 events. Exact same ones. Now we get to see both the Xbox players, the keyboard players, and the physical players go again here. As you may notice, the boundary has changed. This means we've gone from a CVRcade World Cup event to generic racing, where we'll just have a bit of fun. And it's been a blast seeing Xbox really kick off, especially like Victor and I really have just been catching the ticky turns Xbox buck. Like, we've just been having so much fun on the controller, and I think it's been seeing with Casey, with Sepp coming in here, with a few other riders getting in. I see we've got Lantrell, Daniel LeBlanc is stuck around, Nils, Luis, the rest are off the back. But on this one, there's a great viral video of Casey going like, come on, trying to move quicker on the controller. We'll see. I'm excited to see how many of the Zone K riders opt to stay around and pick up their controller, have a bit of fun, rest off the legs, really just roll off, just try and warm down, cool down, and do these races again, because Cityscape New York, I mean, that's going to be interesting with Uncrashable on Xbox controller. We'll see. We've got 3 riders, Glenn, Wim, Sepp, all on the front here. And if you can't hear me, Wim, make sure you refresh your browser and you try and connect to vMix call once more before you go to your next set of races. 300 meters to go. We got 3 riders. They're doing the exact same pace as what 30 riders would do in Zone K. We'll see who's going to win this one. Side on view. We got Glenn on the front, and then Sebastian takes the front here at the end with Wim. Looking at the scoreboard, who wins the lottery of crossing line first? Wim, Glenn, then Sepp. There must be a tiny bit of strategy when it comes to that one, but we simply have not seen enough playtesting with the Xbox controllers here on a low-skill event. As Homer, Daniel LeBlanc flying the Cognition flag high here. We'll hear from Homer in a second as he finishes, as he's been brilliant. It was good to see him on his favorite map, Summit Islands, really flourish as he came back, as Lantrell Storm has finished. Further down, I see Kale Laguna is back for more as well. Quentin, Nils, Moti Pikelny in here as well. As I see, you got John Pyle in the chat. John, very, very impressed with your skills today on display. You really skyrocketed to the top of the riders of those new to the platform, and it's good to see you racing out here. I hope to see you more in the future, as we've got the Solo Cup on Tuesday, and here for Team Havoc in the CVRcade World Cup. He says, amazing work at putting some life into our newer team. Well, great start, great racing as Acravello comes to an end, and now we get ready for Cityscape New York. 3 laps with Uncrashable as an ability, so the Xbox players can just go full bananas off the front. We'll see as we get the instant replay here again off the finish line. Luis is in the chat as well. I can see him chatting on his phone right now into the broadcast chat. So that is a chat section. As Moti, we got to get you in the broadcast as well, Moti. If you're feeling healthy enough, you're feeling fresh, I think our producer will reach out to you and we can get you in. I do see Wim is in here. Wim winning the last race. Let's try and turn on Wim's audio and see if he can hear me. Let's try in a second here. He's lining up. Can we try it here, Vic? If we turn on... Hey, Wim, can you hear me? Oh, Wim? Oh, I think he may be muted on his side or something. I can see Wim in the broadcast here. He's rocking. Wim, I can see you. I can see audio supposed to be coming through, but nothing. But nonetheless, we do have Wim. Oh, there you are.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me now? I can hear you.
It was unmuted.
Top player move. But Wim, welcome to the broadcast for the first time. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels good. Have I won the first race?
Yes, you have. 30 points in the first race.
Yeah, that was really tactical on the last because the controller riders have 20 more watts. So I was in third place. And really in the last turn, I used my comeback kit to pass them in the last seconds.
Now that is clever. I did not even catch that. But Wim, we've got you in here. Does everybody from the Netherlands have a national federation jersey? Because we've seen Nils wear it in the past too.
I don't think so, but I thought I saw Niels wearing it, and I thought I have one also, so I will wear it.
Does this mean Nils has lost his? Is this a pre-war Nils held? No, I'm just kidding. Wim, it's great to have you on the stream here. I'm looking forward to seeing the actual facial expression here as the racing begins. And Mud KG does like the pillow behind your head, so you got that, Wim. But let's get a word. Oh, I think Homer may just have left. I hope Homer's still around, as I would like to get a debrief here at the end. But as we can see, Homer Thompson with a very aerodynamic bike in the background. I think he's just filling up his bidons and he's getting ready for more out here. We got Casey. Casey, are you going to jump in on a controller or are you getting some physical exercise?
Nah, I'm going to keep riding here a little bit. I'm not sure how long. That was a hard hour, but I'm going to stay here and pedal for a bit and then maybe switch to the controller. We'll see.
I think everybody who's on a controller just thanked so much that you're riding this physically because what we've seen, you're quite good at this. But I'll let you, I can see you're typing, you're riding away. I'll let you get back to this. As we got Luis in here. Luis, do you own a controller? Have you ever tried Xboxing on CVRcade?
I have not. No. Will be fun though. Seems like a lot of fun. 1,400 watts over time. That's nice.
I mean, that seems like Homer Thompson has got that for days. I mean, he doesn't even need an Xbox controller for just steady high watts. But, I mean...
That's right.
Getting on the Xbox, for some, it's something that seems alien. Like, Casey is somebody who's lately been converted, as we saw in his writer's post. What do you make of, this cross-play between people sitting down, pressing a button, and you yourself riding your bike?
Well, I think it's fun. I think, you constantly see just two races, like the physical riders and the controller riders, because I mean, it's just like, at that point, it's just racing with power-ups. You're going super fast, trying not to crash and stuff. So, it makes for a fun experience too. So, I think it's cool.
I like the sound of that because I think it's cool, and I may or may not have spent a lot of time recently just having fun learning it. It's a really good, I recommend everybody who's new to the game getting on, taking up an Xbox controller because you really get to learn the cornering, you get to learn the sliding out dynamics, and you get to really get a feel for the game differently than you would on the bike. And I've yet to, I'm gonna go on back and race. So if you can hear it, I'm much better now. I'm not so sick anymore, so I will race. Zone T, we'll see or not, but it is 3 a.m. in the morning. So maybe just physical replays for now. But it's a great way of getting a feel for the gamers. We've got Frank Garcia as well on a controller in here. Now, last time we saw Frank on a controller, I think he challenged Casey to a heads-up display of pure controller skills. I think Casey walked away with it, but Frank not want to walk away from a fight here, so he's back in. So all the riders are sprinting off here, as I'm interested to see what Wim looks like when he is riding the game. Now we do have the broadcast in here, so you may change it, but the focus, the laser focus here, because they can't crash. There's uncrashable as an ability here. It's all about the draft. It's all about the lane positions here. As Wim has already lost touch with the front group here. How does he get back on? Wim, do you feel comfortable getting back on here, or could this already be your race lost?
I will see.
A man.
I need to.
Words. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out a tactic here.
Well, you've got 1 second up there, so if you can get back on the group, we'll see. But when we do look at the power numbers, Glenn, Sebastian, they are able to produce 26 equalized watts more, and I'm not sure where that is coming from, but they are pushing through here. Lanceral Storm is on the front as well, so a 3-man attack here on 3 laps of Cityscape New York. Glenn holding down the trigger here as Sepp is moving on up. You got Lanceral there as well as they're trying to push on through. We can take off the scoreboard for these races here. We needed them on Summit Islands, but here, as Glenn has attacked away, I'm going to try and pay real close attention here, because I think it's how they enter through the corner, if they bump or if they use the draft. Now, Lanceril, you could just see, got back in the draft. He moved on out. Sebastian does not want to bump into him. There's a 3 km/h. Look at this down below. Look at Glenn's speed. Look at Sepp's speed. And then look at Lanceril's speed. And you'll see the differentials there. At one point, Lanceril's at 71 km/h quicker. Frank is off the back here. Wim is off the back. Luis, Moti, Daniel, Casey. We do have a battle further down with Casey where I think they're just having a nice cool down ride together, sitting in the draft, trying to spin down the legs here and have a not so intense omnium as we just had in Zone K, where Quentin said he set a new power PB riding his bike as well. So they're really pushing their numbers on through. He's still in here down in 16th riding on through, but on the front it's still the Xbox players with Glenn, who's 1 second down here. Glenn is just off the back, and so is Wim. So Wim and Frank losing that draft early on, as Glenn is trying to get back. He's trying to get in the draft. He is going 1 km/h quicker than the rest, just from the draft here. So no supers, nothing, as Sebastian is enjoying this currently. They're getting a gap. If I'm Seb, I might just try and get Glenn off my wheel here and not give him a draft. But did you see how Glenn got through that corner? Does Glenn know something the rest of us don't? Because how he just got through that corner, that was, let's see if we get it. It's going so quick. We just missed that on the replay. But I think what Glenn is doing, as he slides out, he's pressing back in. So as the game moves him out, because Uncrashable is on, he slides back in. There, you see it again. You saw it again, right there. Can we get that on the replay? So Sepp and Lanceril, they slide out through the corner. You can see coming up through the corner here. They're not pressing back in. So now we're on Glenn's point of view. Sepp moves out, and Glenn goes right back in here. This is a man who spent time on a controller. This is a person who's really learned the ins and outs, and that's such a massive advantage, because the only time you lose time is when you slide on out, slide to the left, slide to the right, crisscross. That's when you lose time, and Glenn is doing none of the crisscrossing here. He's just staying on the back. But Xbox, the animation, I mean, these guys basically just take their saddle off. They don't need it. They've got it. We'll see as the racing continues. I think we may have I think Sebastian might be joining in the broadcast. It's hit and miss, but I think right now he may be preoccupied with holding down the right trigger button here to get away. While this is happening, I think I want to get Luis's take on who he thinks is going to win. Luis, 3 riders in the front. You've got a horse in the race. Do you think Sebastian can beat the 2 young ones?
As long as Sebastian has his Ramones playlist, I think he's got this.
As long as he's got the playlist on. Well, we'd like to ask him in a second. I wonder what shirt he's wearing today. Now, that sounds interesting, but knowing Sebastian, we'll see. Truth is asking if it's... says, your face is red, allergic reaction. Now, just having super dry skin, something that is just happens. Can't do much about it, but that's why we need like a makeup artist around the corner to make the whole shenanigans very professional. Frank has just sat down. He waits for the next race, which is Country Rally, which he's most likely the favorite. We'll see, but the controllers are just going crazy here. Like Sepp on the back, Glenn. They've all learned it now, by the way, from listening to the broadcast. I'm sorry, Glenn. I'm sorry I gave up your secret here because they've all learned it. But now you know you can do that, Glenn. You need to have another secret in the back here. Jennifer, do you have a controller? I know you wanted to get it on a keyboard maybe, but by the looks of this, you're going to need a controller to be competitive as they move on through. Next time they come on through, they'll be on the final lap, as the final lap of Cityscape in New York. Look at this. Now, this is only possible because 1, they're all on Xbox controllers paired up in. 2, Uncrashable is an ability. This was an event set up for the Zone K, the CVRcade World Cup, and it was arguably one of the best ones. It was arguably one of the best ones. We do have a controller here, so if our producer gets fancy and wants to race, he can do so in the next one. I'm not going to attempt to commentate and play. Sometimes it's too difficult, so, but they can play. This was set up in Zone K. Now, Zone K, Cityscape New York, probably some of the best racing I've seen. Like, you didn't need supers, you didn't need wind, such back and forth action, brilliant to watch. I hope every week has at least an event like this because it's just non-stop action. You're just thrilling from start to finish. But Lantrell, despite losing 26 equalized watts somewhere, I mean, he's got to go to Lost and Found, but he's lost 26 equalized watts. He is the one who's gone on to the attack here, so he's trying to get away. Matcha is saying, do you need a controller for this, or can you do it with keyboard and mouse? You can do it with a keyboard and mouse. We've got a keyboard here as well. Let's see if I can get it up. So if you want to get in here, you can open up the game, press T, the letter T, and when you get in here, it'll change your device module to a controller. If you press plus, you'll accelerate, minus, you'll deaccelerate. You can go left and right with the arrow keys. So, Matza, if you've downloaded the game, come in here, get into the next zone, the next event here. As Truth, you are loving it today, Truth. Come on, hit me, Truth. Everything you've got, hit me. Is commentating while playing more difficult than mathematics? I'd say they're even. I'd say 4 times 4, and playing while, you know, commentating is, they're up there. It's like taking the SAT, like asking, I don't know, it's so difficult, man. There's some things in life that only, you know, 140 IQ people can do, and unfortunately I have 139, so I'm just missing that last point to be up there. So we see Luis is about to get passed by the Xbox player. So if he looks to his right, he'll see Glenn, he'll see Savvy, he'll see... Come on, Luis, let's see what you've got. There's nothing, as Wim also comes on by. 1.3 kilometers left here. Wim is in here still, as you'll see him sitting on down. He looks calm and composed, but he's just been like looking up the road, never really been able to grab onto them. It was over before it even started, as we see Sepp coming on through here. Glenn and Sepp have caught Lantrell. Now, I know Sepp, and I know Glenn. Sepp is competitive. He wants to destroy Glenn here. This may be just a game, but there is so much on the line here. Honor, everything. Sepp, Glenn, side by side. He slides into him, but he uses Glenn's trick against him as Lantrell is coming back. This is intense. This is like, you know those marble races you watch on YouTube where they drop 20 marbles, they commentate on it? That's what this feels like. We've got pink explosion, we've got red blaze, we've got cold seas, I don't know. Right now it's Glenn winning, 200 meters to go. If Sepp doesn't come back here with a bit of draft, Glenn is going to take the victory, and Glenn wins it with Lancerl making a last-second resurgence as Sepp comes across the line in third. So Cognition once again here falling short today on the top, as 3 minutes is the gap here. Luis, Sepp, 3 out of 3 in the front there. As the captain today, what sort of words are you going to be having with Sepp?
Well, I think Monty said it all in the chat around butt penance. So I think we'll have to reconvene and have a discussion.
Oh, I love you guys. You guys make a fun team. So, you know, Velocity came back today. Who knows? It could be Cognition's day next week. By the way, Truth, I did see your message in there earlier. Love you too, man. Like, I can always count on you listening to the podcast and commenting on it. So, thank you very much. So, we'll see how it goes. Jennifer says the SAT. I don't know about that, Jesper. You know. Never mind. I don't know. I've actually never taken the SAT, so I have no clue what I'm talking about. As we see Luis, Quentin here towards the end. They've got 3 minutes until they finish, and there's 4 minutes until the next event starts. So, Quentin, are we going to see a bit of last-minute sprint here between the rest of you, or are you not panicked yet?
We have more than 3 minutes to go. According to my ATA, we need another 4.5 minutes, so it's pretty much on the dot.
You gotta tell, you know, Luis, we got your audio on here. If you're really on butt penance, you guys have gotta finish the race. It doesn't count. This one gets nullified if you don't finish in time.
Well, who's gonna crack the whip here on Benjamin? So I'll let Daniel stick the whip out and, let's go.
Well, we already know that Moti is trying to slide into those DMs going, hey, Benjamin, would you like to be part of CVRcade's best team? As might see Cognition jersey colors. So they've got just about 4 minutes to finish, and they've got 3 minutes and 43 seconds until the next race begins. Glenn says, Jasper, I thought we had a thing going. Wait, what? Giving away my tactics for free, emoji. Well, Glenn, I was as blown away as everybody else watching that, I think. I didn't realize you could do that in an uncrashable event. So, sorry for giving it away, but I was just blown away. Now that I know it, everybody knows it, as we're going to see the racing here, the riding as they're enjoying it towards the end. Let's see what the chat is saying. Lancer says there was a lot more thought going into that race than I expected. Let's get Wim's take on that. Wim, Lantrell says that race required more thinking than he expected. Do you concur? Oh.
No. Just after the first turn, I discovered the trick Glenn said, but then it was already too late. But I stayed on 1 or 2 seconds the whole time.
Well, we're far from over, Wim. Plus, you get the 10 bonus points for streaming in. That's your secret this week.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, Wim reached out. Wim was like, Jesper, I want bonus points. So,
yeah, I need those points.
I was going to say, time for the rest of you guys to follow Wim's discretion. If there was a Netherlands kit in the game, he'd get bonus points for a matching kit as well. But Wim, I'll give you even 10 Jesper points for outthinking the competition. Xbox, first Xbox player to be in the broadcast. That is, you know, flagship kind of day here. So good to have you in the chat. Jennifer says, do I have to do have a cable with it, or does it work with Bluetooth? You can do, we've got a Logitech, like a cheap one, like $20. That has a cable. You connect it in, it works. If you have an Xbox controller, which we also have, you can connect it with Bluetooth. That works. So any way that works, any way that connects, you can get it to work. Timothy says, better pay Glenn some Jesper points. And then Glenn says, I want Jesper points. Glenn, you are on probation. You are on endless probation until the day you get on Timothy's Vortex. So you have reached your cap of the amount of Jesper points you can gain at 0 points currently. Because I know there's a vortex waiting for you. There's a turbo trainer with your name on it, right next to Timothy, and I'm waiting for a dual stream from the two of you, side by side, racing here on CVRcade. The day that happens, I will open the floodgates to the Jesper points coming your direction. I think there's like 120, you know, just waiting behind Hoover Dam, and we'll knock it down. But you have to get on the tax vortex first. Jennifer says, let's see if I can figure it out in time. Might be as hard as the SATs. Well, as you do it, Jennifer, you better get on the stream as well. Then you can see if commentating while playing on a controller is as difficult as the SATs. So, you know, we gotta have somebody who's gotta be our test subject for this this very valid scientific experiment. Now, we do have 26 seconds to go, and our producer, as the racers, as the riders, literally have 15 seconds left. He goes, you know what? They didn't try hard enough. We're just not going to cover the last 10 seconds of Cityscape New York as they went that fast. That is just brutal. As we see the finish line again here with Glenn. That's going to be words. I mean, Louise, Quinton, they were actually going quick there at the end. Well, see you later, Truth. Oh, good to see you in here. We'll see you later as well. 26 seconds to go. Then we've got Country Rally. 3 laps of this with Wind, Uncrashable, and Underdog. This is where we're going to see the skill on the Xbox players come on through. Glenn says, Jenna fighting with the wires again, I bet. I bet she just taped it to the top seat of her tube on the bike. I think that seems to be her solution to everything. Hey, we've got Sepp in with another shirt today here. Bergamot Bicycles. Now, I don't think that's an 80s grunge band, but we'll let it pass. The cap is on here as well. And now, can we get a side-by-side with Wim and Sebastian? I want to see 2 Xbox players side-by-side, both in total anticipation. Here's Glenn. Early start here, moving on up. He's got a gap. Sebastian has raced this track more than the rest, but right now it's Glenn, the non-physical rider, showing how it is done. Luis did not make it into the race. Well, you got close, Luis. There's still Summit Islands if you fancy another 3 laps after this, so you know, you can always cool down on that. As Wim, Sebastian are 2 broadcasted Xbox players. And for the first time ever, side by side, 2 Xbox players. Now, this is quite a different sight here as the 2 riders. You get Wim sitting calm and composed. You got Sebastian very, very energetic, moving his body, moving his head here as Wim is trying. Wim, who are you trying to talk to? Are you talking to anybody out there?
Yes, I was trying talking to you. I'm not calm.
Oh, you're not calm. You got to connect a heart rate monitor. We need to see everybody's heart rates.
I can't connect it on Xbox right now.
Let's hear Seb. What was that crash?
I don't know, there was a bridge I never saw before.
Well, you have now. At the same time. Oh, and then Wim puts a block. Sepp, you've got to have words with the youngster. That block was filthy.
I will pass him. Cool.
Wim, that block. We got you on now. What were you saying?
I fell down also, and when I came up, Sebastian rode into me. Rode into me.
Sure. Seb, do you believe that?
No, he's lying. He blocked me.
Wim, what's your response? This is a judge. This is a person who argues for a living or hears arguments for a living. You better be ready.
I need to concentrate now.
Seb is in the mind of his opponent here. Wim and Seb going head to head. 2 Xbox players. But while this is happening, everybody... Oh, Glenn! He crashes on the front. He comes to the left here. He was like 20 seconds up the road. Glenn, if Wim can be in the broadcast, if Sebastian can be in the broadcast, you need to go out and invest in a webcam. Heck, I'd even buy you one. Well, actually, no, I would not. Timothy would buy you one with the money that he earned in all the CVRcade Cups currently. Timothy will get you one. But Glenn here, moving on through, meets the same railing that Sebastian met earlier. But Lancero Storm here as well is doing quite fine for himself. But we're kind of seeing, oh, Wim as well goes down over in the corner as he crashes. We're on to the last lap. Wim, we did see him practice the other day on Tiki Turns, but Tiki Turns does not help on Country Rally. As you can see, a slight smile on Wim here as he can feel the pressure getting to him as he lets out an even bigger smile. That's the smile of, what have I gotten myself into? As we're back on with Sepp. He's in second place. He's also second place currently on the leaderboard as he is further back down here. Mutt KG says, I want to see both Wim and Sepp in Gamer's Rage. We did see Sepp crash earlier where he let out full emotion as Wim once again just not having the time of his life here. We'll hear from him later on because on the front, stealing the show, Glenn, everybody. Glenn, who may or may not be, is he Team Hive? He's definitely Team Timothy, but I'm not sure if he's all Team Hive. He's the Hive Hornets, the Derny Cup team. But we're going to see Glenn, Summit Islands on controllers. Has anybody else thought how that's going to look on the next race? I mean, that's going to be a breeze going up the hill, but then you've kind of figure it out on the bottom. As Timothy says, of course he's in Team Hive. Well, where's the team jersey? I've only seen 4. Casey crashes. He's racing with Quentin. He's having a bit of fun. They're duking it out further back. Glenn comes across the line, takes 2 wins here, but all comes down to Summit Islands. And Sebastian Kuhn, he leaves Lancero Storm in the dust for another crash as he comes over the start-finish banner here. You can see the Cognition jersey going by like Roadrunner. Then we've got Nils Helden's long-lost brother, Wim Moysen, coming into the broadcast here. As we can see him come across the finish line as Wim comes over 4th. Then not too far back, only about 30 seconds back here, we got Quentin Molinez, who's been riding it physically, so he's been keeping up his own. He's just doing another race here. I see Jennifer is getting ready to do Summit Islands on a keyboard. Good luck with the acceleration, as we can see. Team Timothy is also accurate. Just saying. He would be wearing the jersey if they were available in the game already. Well, let me know what happens first. We'll see. Quentin Molinez will cross the finish line here, and then he too will be done. So he uses Uncrashable just at the end here to show he still had it remaining. Homer Thompson in second. As he comes out on track, he's finishing at 155. Let's hear from Homer. Homer, how's your day been so far? Second Omnium, 3rd race is about to end.
I've had better days.
Well, are you ready for a second go at Summit Islands?
Yeah, I think I'm going to run up it again, just for the fun of it.
I like that. I think you're the only one to ever say for the fun of it on Summit Islands. But Homer, we'll see it. Casey chatting around. I think he's also live streaming. We'll let him finish as we roll up the instant replays here. DK, we're missing you today. Where are you at, Mansuni? We need to have you on here as well. We got to have you on the stream. So make sure to let us know next time you'll be back. Now, next time there'll be a keyboard or an Xbox Omnium will be Thursday, Zone L next week. So you got to take your chances when you get them. Next week we'll have Tuesday will be all the CVRcade Solo Cup. There will be Zones E, K, L, and T, which I think I'll be broadcasting all of them. Then Thursday, we've got zones K, L, and T. K will be the Derny Cup. L and T will be generic CVRcade Racing Open for everybody. Then Saturday, we've got week 3 of the CVRcade World Cup, followed by Zone L, which is generic racing open to crossplay. Sepp, you missed out earlier today in the racing in Zone K. Did you get a chance to watch your team's effort in the CVRcade World Cup?
Yeah, I watched it. I was not lucky with the blocking tactics from Jonathan, but this is his try to get Luis back to the front.
Were you sitting there wishing it was you riding, racing?
No, I rode 4 hours today with my young, in real life team lads, and they're much stronger than me, and they made me suffer a lot.
Well, Sam, next week make sure you make them suffer by getting them on CVRcade. Then you can show them who's the real one, who's the strongest one. Seb, good luck here in Summit Islands, as you don't have to do it this time around. Let's hear from Wim, who with the 10 extra bonus points are streaming in, just like Sebastian. We're catching up to Glenn here. Wim, how's your experience been so far? In the broadcast for the first time, do you feel starstruck yet? Do you feel like, the crowds, they're waiting at the door, they want the Wim Moisen autograph? Can you feel that?
Yeah, I can feel that. Last race, I was trying to watch the screen to see Seb and me side by side, but I lost a bit of focus and I crashed 3 times, and that was, I have to crash 1 or 0 time to beat Glenn or Sebastian.
That's
I just
the name
crashed
of the game.
too much.
Now, next up for you is probably a star on Hollywood Boulevard. Are you ready for that? Are you ready to fly out to Hollywood, get your hand printed on the road?
Not yet, but we will get to that.
Not yet. We're Moisen, everybody. Xbox player coming into the broadcast. We would go to Glenn right now, our preliminary leader, but Glenn, because Timothy hasn't bought him a webcam, is not in the stream as we see Wim crashing here. Lantro's in. He's 3rd. He's wishing to be top 4. We've got Quentin, who's still in here. Quentin, Summit Islands. Are we going to see 3 laps from you this time around?
I am going to do 1 lap all out. Try and get the controls to crash. And then I'll be done. I'll just ride it out, but I won't get the front anymore.
Well, I like that strategy. We'll see how it pays off. We've also got, I think we still got Louise in here. Louise, 3 laps of Summit Islands is the butt penance. Are you starting to feel it now?
Yeah, but this is a different penance, though. This is the bench oil on 11% slow penance. So done with 1, up with the next one.
I like that mentality. Out with the whip, as you guys were talking about earlier. Benjamin will have his revenge, Luis. So Bernice, everybody, as Matcha is using the care package GIF. Matcha, I'm excited. Matcha, I hope you get on the game and race with us, because we've got races on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Now, Matcha, if you want to be up to date, if you want to chat to the community, if you want to be involved in the community, you can go to CVRcade Riders on Facebook. There's a group called CVRcade Riders. That's where everybody hangs out. We've seen DK Mansuni join lately. Wim has been in there. We have Lantrell Storm. We have got Glenn in there as well. So if you want to chat with the rest of us, including the Xbox community, you can do so. Atomic says, is Jennifer racing today? Well, we've asked Jennifer, but I think she may be in her PJs again or so. So that may be her excuse on this Saturday. She is in the racing on a keyboard, but she's not in the broadcast currently. As Sebastian gets underway here, we got Casey with every single super. Greater responsibility. He comes on through, and for a moment of glory here, Sebastian and Glenn do crash, so it changes the scoring. But Casey Shum, pause the race, stop it right here, and a physical rider is winning and has beaten the rest, beaten Skynet, as Lantrell also uses his greater responsibility. So Casey, I think, same as Quentin, 1 lap, can he beat the Xbox controllers on Summit Islands? We're going to see now as he's pushing on through. He's got Wim Moisen, and I'm starting to feel like there might be sweat appearing on Wim here as Casey, as Lantrell. This is their opportunity to shine. Glenn has crashed, and Lantrell Storm, who just wants to do better than 4th today, is currently leading, but just for a second. As Glenn comes back, Casey attempts to block. He doesn't hit it. He does hit it. Wim goes down. Casey is smiling as he knows exactly what he's doing here. But I think he might be looking to help Lantrell. Lantrell is a fan of Casey. He's a friend of Casey in the chat. He's trying to help Lantrell. He's telling him to break here. Oh, we'll let Casey come on through here and focus this one, because further back, they're in between here. The gap between Glenn and Lantrell on the scoreboard is 1.5 points currently. Even though Glenn is down in 6th here, he is still winning preliminary out on track. But anything can happen, as Lantrell, I expect, will be taking the first spot here. As Glenn, all that showing off, all that finesse, now here on Summit Islands, the highest scoring multiplier with 1.5 points. Oh, he crashes again! Oh, the choke. I mean, that is Glenn crashing the second time. Here's Jennifer on her keyboard, you know, really been pressing that plus button here. She comes on through. Let's see as Casey and Wim moving on up here. Wim with Racer's Edge. He's at 50 kilometers an hour. It's fun to see if they know the corner speeds. Do they know how far they can push it? Currently, Quinton, on his one lap of Summit Islands, is leading it. Quinton Molyneux, on one lap, can he beat Sebastian Kuhn? This is outrageous. This is crazy to be able to beat the Xbox controllers. You can see Seb moving on up. If we get to see Seb's face here, Quinton is dead, and Seb passes on by. He looks over the shoulder. He goes, Quinton, you gotta try harder than that. There's 2 more laps remaining here, but Quinton absolutely blows it. But we commend the effort. We respect the effort here. Quinton says no go as Seb looks over his shoulder at Sebastian Kuhn. Sebastian is currently winning. 4.5 points in the lead here. Seb, are you going to be able to cope with the pressure of being the leader?
I'm riding so fast as never before. This is scary.
Should Summit Islands be like this every time?
No. No. No way.
No hesitation there from Seb as he says no way. Let's go down to Casey because Casey, I think he's got a favorite in the racing here. How are you helping Lancherel?
I was just having some fun getting out of the gate, and then, yeah, Lancerol, I think, has watched enough. I assume he watched last zone. He'll do well here.
We'll see.
Yeah, he's a big fan, so I'm going to root for him.
Lancerel, if you hear that, you've got Casey Shum's support in this one. Sebastian and Glenn, 4.5 points the difference here. Wim is coming back. He's in 4th place here with 171. It's been a crash fest for a Wim here today. First time on the broadcast, surely will not be the last time here as we're coming on through. It's good to see DK saying if Casey can keep controls riders behind him uphill, I'll be impressed. Well, he did a good job here. Seb is currently leading. Glenn needs to gain 4.5 points. He will do so if he catches Wim. So now the question is, Wim, who would you rather win in this one? Would you rather see Seb win or would you rather see Glenn win?
Me.
I somehow saw that one coming, yet I still asked the question. Well, Wim, we'll see. You got your hands full with Lancerel Storm as we are halfway through the racing. You've got 2 more ascents of this hill ahead of you. Timothy, what's the update? What's the update on Glenn? I know Glenn must be feeling the pressure. He's been out there, but ever so often, he just chokes under pressure. We'll see if he can do well in this one towards the end as Wim, Lancerel, Sebastian. Sebastian is just flying on through here. Knows the corner speeds like the back of his hand. There's a closely contested 2nd and 3rd place. If Wim moves on up here, there'd be an 8-point swing, and I think, sorry, it'd be a 16-point swing. He will move into 3rd place, and for him to win the overall, he would need to win this one. Timothy says Glenn is choking hard. ... Ha ha. I'm not sure, Timothy. You're laughing at your good friend there's struggle. We'll see. But Wim and Lancerel here, neck and neck as the 2 are pushing each other, while Sebastian is pulling an Ed Laverick. He's seen the Welsh Dragonfly, and now it's time for the German to do the same as Lancerel with a weight lifted here, 30 kilograms lighter. This is Lancerel Storm, who has been passed. Lancerel just wanted to not be 4th. If we bring up the scoreboard, guess where Lancerel is? 4th. Come on, Lancerel. Casey's cheering for you. Mutt KG is cheering for you. Our executive producer Victor Lundqvist is cheering for you. You've got to pull this one through. And then Wim goes down. And just like that, Lancerel moves on up. Wim, what happened?
I moved lanes and I crashed into Lancerel.
Oh, well, mistakes do happen. This can be a tough one to make up. You do have some supers available, Wim, but we'll see. You got Glenn ahead of you, but now Glenn is coming back, and Glenn is in the lead by passing Wim. Glenn is leading by 1.5 points. Seb, I think you need to give Wim some coaching here, because you're going to be relying on Wim in order to win the Omnium.
I can't give anyone some coaching. I don't know by myself how to ride this.
Well, Sebastian, modest as always, but currently in second place as Glenn is now winning. It comes down and Langerow crashes as well. The pressure. But now Langerow gets passed by Wim. He is tied with Wim. But Langerow, a tiebreaker is the positioning and the bonus points on the final track. And Langerow, I think you're going to be back and forth if you don't pass Wim on this race, on this last one. Langerow has raced, I think, 3 times. 3 times. I think he's come fourth. And it looks like it'll be a 4th time here as well that Langerow Storm will come fourth. I feel for the man. So close. And he's got one last try here with the wind at his back. 20 kilometers an hour. He breaks on down. He's pushing on through. Final ascent. 300 meters is all that is left as Langerow is pushing on through. They've got Jennifer. They've got Homer. They've got Daniel, Quinton, Louise, Casey further on back. Sebastian, though, has got 200 meters to go, 100 meters to go. There's a rider trying to pull a block, maybe. Nope. Quinton lets him slide on through. He is also lapped on course, so it wouldn't be effective. Sebastian Kuhn, second place overall, but wins Summit Islands. Glenn escapes the choke due to the extraordinary crashes from both Wim and Langerow. Atomic Froster says, go on, Dan. Canada. Well, I was actually missing a third Canada, but Wim will be next with Glenn across the line. So here they go. As Quinton is yet to... Oh, Wim almost crashed as he went to the top. Langerow Storm will come over in fourth. Then we've got Jennifer on a keyboard. Homer Thompson just for good measure here. They're about 3 minutes down on Summit Islands, but we're going to see our chosen heroes. Langerow says, oh, dang. Good game, Wim. Langerow, I think you need to reach out to Casey and get some cycling hub preaching, some knowledge, some coaching. You're almost up there. It's just 1 or 2 crashes off and you almost got there. So you tied with Wim, but the tiebreaker is bonus points. And, well, technically, Timothy, if we apply bonus points for streaming and we give Sebastian 10 points for streaming here, you do realize that Sebastian has 209 points. So we'll let Mutt KG be the decider. Mutt KG, do you feel like we should apply bonus points to this Omnium? That would mean Wim gets 10 bonus points. That would put him in third. It means Sebastian with 10 bonus points would go into first. So a Mutt KG is the all ruler, the all decider in the chat. So you better... Glenn, you better hope you're on Mutt KG's good side here, because if you're not, we'll see. Well, Mansuni, we'll see you on Thursday for Zone L. Waiting, anticipating Mutt KG. Tamont says true. Rip Glenn, GG Sep. Still waiting. Oh, Mutt KG says give it to Glenn. Let's get Sep's take on that one. Sep, do you feel robbed?
No, I win the next physical races. That's enough for me.
So confident. Sep, looking at this week, you've been very strong. What do you want from the next week of racing in the 3 Cups?
I hope I can do better, not crash, win more.
Simple as that. Well, Sep, we're watching Homer come across the line here. I know Homer always has great words for you, but, I mean... Talk to me about Homer. I mean, this guy does every single Omnium available. I mean, he wakes up early in the morning and rides until late in the evening. What is it with Homer Thompson?
I don't know. He's a phenomenon. He's riding all the time, I think. I think he lives in his garage with a big amount of Mountain Dew drinks. Sometimes he changes his jersey, but... he rides all the time, I think.
Yeah, I don't think that's a question. I think that's definitely a definitive. Thank you, Sep, as we watch Homer come across the line. Masuni is saying, is Zone T physical only, and is it on stream? On Thursday, it is open to everybody, and it is on stream, yes. So, DK, if you want to play with us on controller, Thursday you can build both L and T. There's no T today, Mansuni. Today, there's KNL. Once this finishes, we'll be heading over to CVRcade Riders where the discussion will continue. Jennifer says the PC crashed on the last hill. Guess the keyboard doesn't like the 11% great either. I think it's because you weren't on stream. I think the game was like, you know what? She's not on stream. We're just gonna shut down the computer. I mean, that's the only sensible option. I mean, I'm sure that Atomic Frost would agree with that conclusion. As we see Quentin on the slopes of Summit Islands. Homer has just finished. Now we get Quentin towards the end with 1,000 equalized watts. Trying to finish strong. He passes Casey Shum. Cannot be blocked as he is lapped. Daniel LeBlanc. Great racing out there, my friend. Quentin will come across the line. Luis Soberanis will come across the line. I'm liking Matcha. I hope you've followed. I hope you're in here as well. I hope you're around. As we get Quentin, when Quentin crosses the finish line, we will run the instant replay here, and then we'll be shutting down for the... Oh, Quentin! So, okay, here's a standoff. Who gives in first? Quentin Molyneux or us? So, we got to see Quentin cross the line. We will see the finish line here at the end. We'll now cross. Summit Islands has ended. Thank you so much for watching. We'll watch the highlights of the first zone once more. So here are the highlights that you may have missed for the CVRcade World Cup. Week 2. 6 teams took to the start line here. You had Team Cognition, Team Hive, Team Cycling Upcade Exhibition, Havoc, all out on the track with velocity as well. The first race, high speeds of 80, 82 kilometers an hour. As they come on through, you'll see the sprint finish here were the millimeters. The pixels were the difference. In the end, it was velocity taking the largest amount of points on the first race. Then we move to Cityscape New York. Definitely one of the most intense, engaging racing we've seen in a while. Team strategies all around. It was Jonathan, the Blockhead Rocket, who attacked early. Then he got caught by the chasing group later on. And Velocity Vixen looked very, very strong. As you can see the scoreboard moving up in the top right-hand corner. When these highlights do end, we will end it all for the stream today here. So please do make sure that you have clicked follow, you've joined CVRcade Riders over on Facebook, and that way you'll always be up to date on the latest announcements, and you'll know when we go live here on a Mixer. As we see Timothy Tamont, the team captain, or so to be, of Team Hive, but may not have been. Quentin Molyneux of Team Cycling are pushing on through into the sprint finish. Carl versus Chris, and Chris, the newcomer in here. Strong performance from Chris today, hoping to see him back. He is active both in the Derny Cup and the CVRcade World Cup, as we see it here at the end of the line. Now we're going to see Country Rally, so many riders out on the track. I mean, so much congested lanes. Here we see Frank Garcia, who looks solid, just touches the hay bales, and then later on he does fall down. Same happened to Jeff here, but it doesn't quite affect the rankings. It was good racing. Week 2 saw a new preliminary winner at the top, and Velocity Vixen. Of course, this is pending bonus points being added, pending the analytics teams taking a closer look. Cycling Hub looks strong. Hive looks strong. Cognition finished strong on Summit Islands. Now, week 3 beckons next Saturday. Can we just invent a time machine so we can go forward to next Saturday? I can't wait until we go again. We finished on Summit Islands. Vibeke crashed on down, but it didn't matter. As Ed Laverick, the Welsh Dragon, individual performance was great. Team couldn't quite back it up. It was in the balance whether or not Velocity were going to keep their lead. It came down to 8 points, 6 points. But in the end, despite the greater responsibilities, despite all the supers available here to the end, as you see the game of musical chairs, of riders going back and forth, with Quinton with a great responsibility, and with Homer Thompson as well. But that is all she wrote here today. We've had 2 zones of great racing. Zone K, CVRcade World Cup, the highlights you've just seen. Zone L, the Xbox crossplay zone. Hope you've all enjoyed it. Make sure to click the follow button down below. Thank you to everyone who streamed in. Thank you to everyone who viewed. I hope you have a great Saturday, and we'll see you all on Tuesday. But no, Beth, your goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to... And she's unleashed everything in this attack. See just how much that win means to him. All the marbles. Kayla versus Allison, and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory.